Welcome back to Post TV Live from NAB. We're Mark Loftus, Randy Altman, and filmmaker Morgan Spurlock is here to talk to us about some stuff. He's got a lot going on. I guess currently Comic-Con is the most recent.
In theaters now.
In theaters now, and video on demand.
And on demand, anywhere, any digital platform you can watch, it's there.
It is, so there's really no reason not to watch it.
There's no reason not to watch it. As soon as this is over, you should watch that. Yeah.
Exactly, right now, actually.
That's right.
You also have Failure Club, which you're shooting now?
Failure Club is shooting. It's an ongoing web series that we're doing for Yahoo. We're basically doing that for the next year until November. And then we also have a show called A Day in the Life that we're doing for Hulu, where that series premiered 4 weeks ago. We're very excited. So it's the second season of that show. So it's great when you get to do it once. It's even better when you get to do it twice. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Mansome as well?
And Mansome we are finishing right now. It's my newest film. It'll premiere Saturday at the Tribeca Film Festival. And Mansome is a film that we did with Will Arnett and Jason Bateman that is all about the magical world of manscaping.
So it's a serious drama.
It's a serious drama, you know, with Judd Apatow, Zach Galifianakis, Paul Rudd.
Yeah, serious guys.
Yeah, very serious. You're going to learn a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how you begin a film? First of all, what do you shoot on? What is your go-to?
It depends. Like Comic-Con, we shot on a multitude of formats. We shot on HD Cam, both in F900 and SRW 9000. We shot on EX1s and EX3s. We shot on a 5D, and then on like we shoot Failure Club and Day in the Life on P2. Yeah.
Okay, so what the best?
Whatever's the best for the job, you know, is usually what we use, yeah.
Okay, and you're here, you're talking at the Avid booth, so you're using Media Composer.
Yes, we are.
You do a lot of stuff in a short period of time, so how does that help you as well? And plus you're using so many different formats.
Right.
So can you talk us through that as well?
The biggest thing for us is making sure that we have the ability to work, multiple people have the ability to work on different shows at the same time. You know, all of our stuff goes through a LAN share and a Unity, so people have the ability to go from project to project, you know, from system to system. Mm-hmm. You know, the great thing now with Failure Club and Hulu with The Day in the Life is now we have the ability to online and finish in-house. We do our color correct and our final mix in-house. We don't have to go outside for that. So we basically are able to deliver those straight from us to Hulu and Yahoo.
So why did you decide to open it up to you know, video on demand, and what led to that? Well,
the thing that made us kind of change the whole release strategy for Comic-Con was after Greatest Movie Ever Sold came out. You know, I got so much press for that movie. I mean, we were everywhere when that film was ramping up for its release. You know, in a period of a week, I was on Conan and Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel, and then the film came out on 18 screens. You know, we were in 18 theaters all around the country. 95% of the country couldn't even see the movie. And there's this thing that they talk about in the film. There's a guy named Faris Yacob who has one of the most brilliant things. He talks about the cultural decay rate of ideas in our society today. And he says basically the cultural decay rate of ideas is 2 weeks. So basically you have 2 weeks to get this great press surge, capitalize on it, and then, you know, just ride it out from there. And so, you know, the cultural decay rate of our film at that point, you know, was 2 weeks. Then we were fighting against all the big summer movies. And with Comic-Con, I didn't want to fight that. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, Comic-Con, it was great. I liked it a lot.
Oh, thanks.
How do you, just going back even early into the process, how do you decide who you're going to follow?
You know, it depends. The goal for me is stakes. Like, what are the best stories? Like, who has the best stakes? And Comic-Con is a film that's very much about stakes, whether that is somebody wants to like kind of start their career, somebody's trying to save their business, somebody's trying to get their girlfriend to say yes and marry them.
Yes.
You know, a guy's trying to get an 18-inch action figure. You know, no matter what your stakes are, you know, you have stakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and some of the shows, so you gave them a camera and they would shoot on their own?
No, we didn't. We had full crews that were following each one of these people. Because once you give somebody a camera, then it's mixed results. So you don't ever want to give a camera to a non-professional and be like, oh yeah, and shoot on your own. And next thing you know, you're going to get stuff that looks like it was shot on their own by a non-professional.
Right.
Yeah. So with that, we had 15 full camera crews that were following around all of our participants in the film. It was a massive crew making Comic-Con. You know, 150 people. You know, shooting over the 5 days at Comic-Con. It was huge. 450 hours of footage.
About that. So much of your work, some of the earlier stuff, I always got the impression that you were very resourceful.
Yes.
You're working the camera. You're the narrator. You're the on-screen talent.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were doing the editorial. Does that affect the gear that you're kind of looking for? Just saying, hey, we're a small crew outside of a Comic-Con type release.
Absolutely. You know, that's why, you know, we're big fans of the P2. You know, that is a great little kind of go-to tank of a camera that just creates a beautiful image. You know, enables us to be very nimble in the field. Enables us, you know, to have XLR plugs for a direct sound plug-in. You know, you don't need to have a separate sound gear. Things like that make a big difference when you're shooting in the field. And you know, so for me, that's a camera that we use quite a bit. Yeah, not on a, like, we haven't used that for a film. We use that a little bit in Mansum. But most of the time on my other films, the key go-to camera is like an F900 HD cam.
And what about editorial? Are you a hands-on editor, just being so close to the storylines?
Well, that's the problem, is I get so close to the storyline that I've realized I'm a terrible editor. because I fall in love with my footage. I like make scenes way too long. And for me, I really like having a separate set of eyes. You know, I like having someone else come in and say, oh my God, you don't need this. This is terrible. Why do you have this in here? And they'd rip it apart.
Right.
So I would much rather now have an editor who will basically dive in, make that pass. You know, I'll do an outline that I will write and give to our editor, and then, you know, it's myself and my producer and partner, Jeremy Chilnick. We usually write down the whole outline of the film after we're done shooting. We give it to the editor. The editor does a first pass, then we go in and kind of give notes on that. They do another pass, and, you know, I don't like sitting in. There's people who love to sit in the edit and, like, stare over people's shoulders while they cut,
right.
And I'm not that guy. You know, I want my editors to have the creative freedom to do what they want, to be able to bring their own creative energy into a project, and then I just check back in, you know, on a day, every other day or every week, depending on how massive the project is.
You had mentioned even some of the work that you're doing now. You're nominated for Webby. You're doing on demand. There's stuff that's website content. Is that the future for the independent filmmaker here, getting their content out there? You know, you've had theatrical releases, but what about getting more?
Well, I think you know, I'm a real believer that you should experiment, especially now if you can, with, you know, non-traditional release patterns. You know, the more that you can put things in different places, the more you can work with people like a Hulu or a Yahoo, which they're doing a lot of innovative, creative stuff right now, and they're really supporting, you know, filmmakers and people with real kind of innovative ideas. So for me, I think if you have the ability to do that, you should, because right now things are kind of fractured. You don't know what's going to work the best. And if you can, like, try and release movies in a very different way, you really have an upside of reaching a bigger audience.
Are things getting easier for you, knowing what you've had to do to put content together, what technology is available these days? Do you say, if only I had this 5 years ago or so?
Well, I mean, I think technology's, you know, it's continuing to change and continuing to evolve. You know, there's this incredible program that Avid has where you can basically, like, type in a word and it will search for a person, like search for that dialogue throughout all of the footage you have, which is remarkable. Like, that's one of, like, if I'd had that 10 years ago, like, oh my gosh, the headache it would have saved. You know, but it's, you know, for me, like, things like that are only going to continue to make my job and an editor's job easier.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Are you going to roam the floor at all? Have you checked out any?
I have,
there's so many cameras.
There's so much here. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like Nerdvana. Like, I came walking in, I was so kind of overwhelmed. I was like, oh, yeah. It's like little drool came out of the side of my mouth. I was like, ooh. Yeah. So at some point, I'm gonna have to wander and you know, check my wallet at the door.
Yeah. No kidding. Well, so what's next? What are you tackling next?
Well, you know, Mansum is next, so that's the big thing. You know, that will premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival this Saturday. It'll open in theaters May 18th. And then after that, you know, we're finishing A Day in the Life. We're finishing Failure Club, which will run till the end of the year, and then hopefully, knock on wood, you know, we'll do a narrative feature. We'll do a scripted film hopefully this summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Will that be the first one?
That'll be our first narrative. Yeah. So that's very exciting.
Tell us a little bit about.
It's written on pages and has actors.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be cool. Tune in for that. Yeah. It's got actors on it and words.
Do you you do both? You do television and you do film. Do you?
Yeah.
Is it just whatever you feel like doing at the moment? I
mean,
well,
it depends on the project. Like, we have great ideas that we've come up with that we're like, oh, what about this as a movie? And then we're like, you know what, that'd be much better as a TV show. There's so much more we could get into as a TV show. And then there's ideas you come up with a TV show and say, that's such a one-off idea, it would be much better as a standalone film. So it depends on whatever the project is.
Okay, great.
One other question I had was with budgets, knowing what you've been able to do on limited independent budgets, is that still your mentality these days? It's like being, you know, tight on the budget, or do you say, well, I've achieved a level of success, I want more money to be able to do more things?
You always want more money,
sure,
but you have the ability to stay in business longer if you do less with more. More people will want to work with you. There's a higher chance of returns. There's a greater ability of actually having a return on that investment for whoever gave you the money, and that's what will keep people wanting to be in business with you. If you are the guy who continues to take lots of money and not make any money, you're going to suddenly not get any return phone calls. And so for us, we always I was just on the phone with Jeremy before we came over here, and we were just talking about a budget that we were getting done that we're continuing to hammer away, continuing to cut money out of it, because I was like, we have to be able to knock that down. And now we're at a point where we're like, okay, I think that's good. And it's already so low by comparison to a lot of other things. Any other TV shows we've ever done, it's just like, it is so low by comparison. But for us, I think that, and for me, I think that you don't need a ton of money to make something good. It has to be compelling content first.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't expect a stereo 3D film from you
anytime soon. Listen, I would. That would be amazing. I don't know what it would be. It's like after Werner Herzog and both he and Wim Wenders made their 3D documentaries, I was like, I wanted to make a 3D documentary. Now, drat, what do I do? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that 3D movie would be.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we could talk. We could try to figure something out.
Yeah. Okay. Done. We'll figure out something. We can make this in 3D.
Done. We could.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your
awesome.
time.
No,
This
my
was great.
pleasure. Thank you. This was awesome.
All right. Well, have fun at NAB and shopping.
Thank you. I'm gonna go nerd out now.
Yes, please.
Thanks.
So, thanks.